My name is Margaret Samuel. I have lived and worked here in downtown Toronto for 27 years. Toronto Concerned Citizens Coalition and neighbourhood groups host this second press conference at Nathan Phillips Square. Residents and business owners are frustrated with mismanagement and ideologically driven policies of Mayor Olivia Chow's office and select city councillors and their massive negative effect on Toronto's quality of life. Hot button issues for next year's municipal election, including shelters, rezoning, encampments, RapidTO, Wheeltrans, property tax, crime, Yonge-Dundas Square renaming, bike lanes, and committee meetings will be highlighted by Sharon Danley, DCCO, Senior Wheeltrans, Jen Hillston, Niagara Neighbourhood 629 Adelaide Street West, Cody McRae, Balance on Bloor, Lisa Ramirez, DCCO Upper Jarvis Residents, Paul McCusey, Citizens of Toronto, Dewey Esterero, Ward 9, Davenport, and Daniel Tate, Integrity TO. Each of these 8 speakers has 2 minutes, all followed by Q&A and one-on-ones. Sharon?
Thank you and good morning, everybody. Toronto is in a serious safety crisis, especially for the vulnerable people in this city. This crisis comes from 2 sources, each compounding the other. First, unlicensed and uninsured cyclists and e-vehicle operators of every kind, many of whom don't know or don't care about the rules of the road, sidewalks, and crosswalks. Second, the reckless expansion of bike lanes on major arteries without proper planning or consultation, while concerns and warnings fall on deaf ears at City Council and with the police. The numbers tell the true story. In 2023 alone, 29 pedestrians were killed and 73 seriously injured in Toronto. And these are just the reported cases. Children, seniors, and those with mobility challenges are particularly at risk. The police do nothing. City Council does nothing. The point, they finger and take no responsibility. Meanwhile, residents are left to live with this danger every single day. As usual, the media runs the same story. News at 11, driver hits a cyclist. Yet, rarely do they mention how these accidents are caused by cyclists ignoring the Ontario Traffic Act. We don't hear about the unlicensed cyclists and e-vehicle operators who injure or maim pedestrians. We don't hear about the Wheeltrans riders who are forced to cross dangerously planned bike lanes while cyclists refuse to stop, often cursing at these more fragile people for daring to be in the way. Silence from the media hides the full identity and reality of Toronto's safety crisis. The facts. Cyclists and e-vehicle operators routinely violate traffic laws with impunity. There is no accountability for repeat offenders. Vulnerable populations face increasing danger on sidewalks, crosswalks, and parks. Emergency response is being seriously compromised by bike lanes. Enforcement gap. The absence of licensing does not prevent enforcement of existing traffic laws by the police. This is a deliberate failure of enforcement, not jurisdiction. Cyclists used to be licensed in Toronto, but City Hall put a stop to that. It's way past time it was reinstituted, including exams for competency and knowledge of governing roads and sidewalk laws. City Hall, the province, the police, the Integrity Commissioner, Wheeltrans Chair, and the CEO of the Financial Services Authority have all been notified of this growing crisis. The public has spoken. They deserve and expect swift, responsible action, both from City Hall by reinstituting exams, licensing, and insurance, and the police must enforce the laws immediately. No excuse or exceptions. License, insure, enforce, protect. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Next is Jen Hillston, Niagara Neighbourhood, 629 Adelaide Street West.
Thank you for inviting me to speak today. On July 21st, St. Felix Centre and the City of Toronto opened a 24-hour emergency shelter at 629 Adelaide Street West, in the heart of a safe residential neighbourhood at Tecumseh and Adelaide, just 54 metres from an elementary school. St. Felix Centre is distributing needles, pipes, and drug kits at this site. Yes, there is a homelessness crisis, but this shelter location is reckless, and we believe it is unlawful. 629 Adelaide Street West is zoned employment industrial, known as I1D3 under the City of Toronto's former bylaw 43886. Section 6 of the Municipal Shelter Bylaw 1382003 clearly prohibits shelters in I1D3 buildings under bylaw 43886. And because the shelters are residential, or are they institutional use, this site, the way it's currently zoned, is not a permitted use. The building at 629 Adelaide Street West has not been rezoned, and there has been no approval from Toronto City Council. Yet, the city approved a 10-year lease, spent over $4 million in renovations, and now millions of dollars on operating costs for this location. For 2 years, we've demanded answers. I have sent dozens of requests to Toronto Building, City Planning, 311, Municipal Licensing, Shelter Services, Deputy Mayor Malik, Mayor Chow, and the Ombudsman. Not one clear answer, not one explanation as to how this shelter can operate without proper zoning. Mayor Chow, the shelter at 629 Adelaide Street West is unlawful. We demand the city follow its own bylaws. Please stop imposing illegally zoned shelters in quiet, safe neighborhoods. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen. Our next speaker is Cody McRae from Balance on Bloor.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Cody McRae, and I am the founder of Balance on Bloor. We are a community-led organization advocating for a common sense, data-driven approach to our city's transportation future with a focus on the Bloor West extension. There's been a lot of press coverage recently, including mine own yesterday, and especially since Justice Shabaz's charter decision was issued. But very little has been addressed to the real impacts of commuters, seniors, first responders, and small businesses, and that is why I'm here today. I want to be clear on a few things. We are not anti-cyclists. The majority of my board are daily riders who clock over 1,000 kilometers a year. We support bike lanes when they're implemented properly, but not dropped into neighborhoods where they do more harm than good, and removing a major arterial roadway lane of traffic. We are not anti-environment. We are against policy that pretends to be green while creating more gridlock, more idling vehicles, and exhaust fumes so bad that my local TTC bus driver, for the first time in 30 years, is starting to smell fumes in his cabin. I'm not anti-safety. We're quite the opposite. We are for seniors, people with disabilities, and families who are now keeping their children off their side streets from being able to play because of the cut-through traffic that these lanes have caused. Toronto should be a city where cyclists, pedestrians, transit riders, and yes, even drivers can coexist and move efficiently. But forcing ideological experiments into already congested arteries without consultation, without year-round data, and without any proper economic impact analysis isn't balance, it's recklessness. This is about moving the most people as quickly and as efficiently as possible. The city cannot deny that emergency response times have gone up. Toronto's Fire Service's own data shows that travel times have gone up since the Bloor bike lanes were installed. Prior, at Old Mill and Bloor, the response time average was 242 seconds. After was 385 seconds. 143 seconds in difference when you're waiting for a firefighter or a paramedic isn't delay, it's the difference between survival and tragedy. And yet, instead of addressing this directly, Deputy Chief at the time, now current Fire Chief, Jim Jessup, misled community residents at a meeting, and he said, quote, response times at ward level have improved, end quote. Him using ward level averages, including Lakeshore and Browns Line, which is nowhere near the corridor, which, by the way, Lakeshore has great bike lanes that are used properly, but using ward level averages have nothing to do with the corridor that's been impacted, and citing statistics from 3 a.m. when traffic is non-existent isn't transparency, it's spin. Residents deserve straight answers. Do the bike lanes on Bloor that any observer that's out there can see forcing traffic into narrow single lanes with no room to move aside for emergency vehicles, does that slow down emergency vehicles? And the answer is yes. They do, and the city knows it. The city staff even admitted that out of the 9 categories that they choose bike lanes for, not even considered as emergency response times. Why is it so hard to speak the truth nowadays with our city? Providing real and specific response time data without using and forcing people like our groups to use the FOI process. We're not talking about leadership, we're talking about mismanagement. Local businesses have been hit hard, and shops that have survived the pandemic are now struggling to survive because of this. That's why there's 45 local businesses in our area that are in a lawsuit and taking legal action against the city. These are mom and pop stores, and they're family-run businesses, and the city is abandoning them. Finally, my last point before I move on is the money. The city claims that it would cost $48 million to remove these lanes. Now, I know our local councillor, Amber Morley, and our Mayor Chow love wasting money at the city level, but we've asked local experienced contractors for real quotes, and they came back for 8-kilometer stretch of removal, $1.2 million. The 1/10 of what the city is telling taxpayers. So my final 2 questions to the City of Toronto: is this an acceptable use of your taxpayers' money? And we deserve to know, is City Hall incompetent or dishonest? Because either or of those answers are unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Our next speaker is Lisa Ramirez, DCCO Upper Jarvis residents.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Ramirez, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the residents of Upper Jarvis. And the reason why I'm here representing my community is because we care about people, about our neighborhood, and about our city. People struggling with addiction, mental health, homelessness, deserve compassion and real help. We also respect institutions like Casey House, which have been founded to provide dignity and care to patients with AIDS. But caring also means being honest when things are not working. And right now, the city is moving backwards. We are closing shelters, treatment centers, and other social institutions at the very moment we are facing a homelessness, addiction, and mental health crisis. Instead of building recovery pathways, we are concentrating harm in a few sites and leaving neighborhoods like ours to absorb the fallout. For our community, that fallout has been devastating. We live every day with escalating violence, whether it is knife attacks, assaults, threats, and open drug use in our streets. Families walk their children to school. We even have a school just 127 meters away from Casey House, which is in violation of BLC 22, which prohibits supervised consumption within 200 meters of schools. And seniors are afraid to leave their homes. We have a lot of seniors in our communities, and they are afraid to go out at night. Sometimes we even have to cross the sidewalk to feel safe. Even friends tell me they no longer want to come to visit me because they are afraid, and this is not normal and it's not fair. Casey House was never meant to operate as a drug consumption site, and that role was placed on them after other sites were forced to close. Their vending machines for drug use kits have failed within weeks, yet kits remain available 24/7 inside the building. Harm reduction on its own is not a solution. Without treatment, rehabilitation, and recovery, it simply leaves people stuck in the same cycle, while communities are left to shoulder the risks. The fabric of our neighborhood is deteriorating, and it's not just us. This is happening across Toronto. We need balance, harm reduction and recovery, compassion and accountability, immediate action and long-term solutions. This is why today we are calling on Toronto City Council and the Ontario government to remove drug consumption services from Casey House. They are not aligned with their mission and have put our neighborhood at risk. Open the promised harm reduction or hard hubs immediately to integrate harm reduction with real recovery pathways, and commit to a coordinated action plan that addresses homelessness, mental health, and addiction together with urgency and accountability. Our neighborhood deserves safety and dignity, and people struggling with addiction deserve more than survival. They deserve a chance to heal. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Our next speaker is Paul McCusey, Citizens of Toronto.
Thank you. My name is Paul McCusey, and today I'm speaking on behalf of the Bathurst Street community who were successful in pausing RapidTO north of Bloor. Today I'm speaking in regards to Councillor Sachs's motion to speed up the Bathurst bus. Our community is pleased that 2 of our suggestions offered earlier this year have been included in the revised motion. It reflects positive steps towards addressing local concerns. However, the proposed rush hour bans on the east side of Bathurst, weekdays from 2 to 7 and weekends from 12 to 7, are not only the most extreme in the entire city, but directly overlook the root cause of congestion, forcing our community to pay the price. Congestion on this route begins at 2 p.m. daily, and with the extensive work conducted by members of our community, we have been able to document and uncover the issue. Ironically, the problem lies at the TTC Hillcrest Yard located just 1 block north of DuPont, where TTC employees access Bathurst to leave the city. We've watched hundreds of vehicles bottleneck this portion of the street, with effects being felt south of DuPont. Just to recap, that's transit employees not taking transit, which is free for them, and heavily contributing to the congestion currently in question. The motion as it stands, if implemented, expects a 3-minute increase in speed from Bloor to Eglinton, yet it overlooks the lived realities of the residents and businesses on this mere 750-meter stretch of road we call home. As many in our community have expressed, Bathurst is in need of an express bus. And given that we were all but ready for a bus lane, why wouldn't we be ready for an express bus? The northbound Bathurst bus ridership data clearly indicates that there are minimal on and offs after leaving the station daily, with the first spike of boardings happening at St. Clair every day of the week. Therefore, an express bus running north, alternating during peak ridership times to ensure no loss to local service, stopping first at St. Clair, followed by main streets only, would achieve far greater results in speed, efficiency, and reliability compared to what is currently being presented today with rush hour bans. The compromise presented by the Bathurst Street community preserves the limited parking available on the east side of Bathurst, the same side that has no access to laneways or parking. Our community has worked together to uncover the evidence, find the cause, and present solutions that reflect the needs of our neighborhood while still ensuring the bus moves faster. Simply put, the proposed rush hour bans punish the people who reside here for minimal gains lower than what we've presented today. This community cares. It cares about our changes to our street, to our doorsteps, and to our businesses. It cares about how our neighborhood is affected. We want a compromise. We want one that has been carefully thought through, one that has had the input of hundreds of community members, and one that will benefit everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Our next speaker is Dewey Esterero, Ward 9, Davenport.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dewey. I am a resident of Davenport, and I am concerned about the proposed homeless facility at 615 Dufferin Street. Placing such a facility in our neighborhood will increase crime and create safety concerns for our residents. We see this happening at other facilities across the city. Back in December, city staff, in all their wisdom, selected 1615 Dufferin Street for a 50-bed homeless facility in a neighborhood filled with vulnerable children and seniors. Adding to the concerns, the location will be a designated harm reduction facility, allowing staff to provide addicts with crack pipes and syringes. Even though the users cannot consume the drugs in this facility, they will certainly consume the drugs outside of it, in our parks, laneways, and sidewalks. We cannot accept this as the new normal. We saw firsthand in our community the decline when a methadone clinic opened at Dufferin Street a number of years ago. In fact, the proposed homeless facility will be directly across the street from this methadone clinic and will further accelerate the decay in our neighborhood. Hard to imagine how city staff came to this bizarre decision when you also consider the facility will be next door to the St. Clair Dufferin Library. Also, 6 schools are within 750 meters of this proposed site. These schools are Regal Road Public School, Loretto College, St. Clair Catholic School, Hudson College, Stella Mars Catholic School, and Oakwood Collegiate Institute. Picking this location shows the staff and our local counselor have no compassion for the safety of our most vulnerable. Children walk along these streets to get to their library and schools. There is a high number of seniors in our neighborhood who walk to St. Clair for services. Our residents were blindsided by this sudden announcement and felt betrayed by the local counselor. The counselor claims she was not aware of the city's plans to purchase the property at 615 Dufferin Street. Hard to believe city staff would not involve the local counselor on this important decision. Bottom line, we know the local counselor fully supports the location of this homeless facility. In fact, she was the one who happily made the announcement back in December. So I am here today to expose the lack of common sense and transparency in the actions of our unelected city staff and our local counselor. It is not too late to come to their senses and see the truth that 615 is not the right location. Lastly, I also call on Premier Doug Ford and our Davenport MP to intervene since your governments are funding these homeless facilities. Our community will not remain silent. Our children are too important. Thank you.
Thank you, Dewey. Our next speaker is Daniel Tate from RapidTO.
Good morning. Thanks to everybody for attending. Thank you to media, and thank you to all the speakers. My name is Daniel Tate. I'm the Executive Director of RapidTO. We are Toronto's fastest and newest civic advocacy and watchdog group. We're generating millions of views online. We are galvanizing thousands of people across social media because our message is resonating. And our message is this: there's a crisis of leadership in this city. It's not only the mayor, it also boils down to several city councilors, many of whom are lifers. They've been working over there for decades, and other city councilors who bring what they call progressive policies that don't create community safety and well-being. So ultimately, there's a crisis of leadership, and that's what you're hearing with all the various stories of the great speakers behind me. I'm going to walk us through a little sampling of some of the issues that are plaguing our city, and what we can do to get things back on track, because I think it goes without saying that the current state of affairs in Toronto it really is not sustainable, it's not tenable, and something's got to give. First and foremost, transportation planning. We shouldn't be in a position where it's a zero-sum game, where drivers have to sacrifice for cyclists or cyclists have to sacrifice for drivers. You should be respected with whatever transportation mode you want to take. So just like Cody says, for Balance on Bloor, what we're looking for is balance. A city where cyclists, drivers, pedestrians, transit users can all coexist. Unfortunately, City Hall has this idea where we can socially engineer behaviors. They call it switching modes. That's not realistic. If somebody wants to take the car because they don't feel safe in the TTC, we should respect that. If somebody doesn't want to drive because of the gridlock, we should respect that they take the TTC. Both modes should be high quality with high levels of service and efficiency. The RapidTO battles, which I saw were a lack of respect for many constituents on the part of Councillor Sachs, demonstrate that. Another quick example is Adelaide Street. Adelaide Street is under constant gridlock all times of the day. Streetcars, cyclists, trucks, and they have a concrete barrier there, which makes no sense, and it's taking up an entire lane. Transportation planning and engineering in this city has major problems. We need a rethink on how we do transportation planning in the city. The TTC, Jamal Myers, who's the chair of the TTC, needs to stop focusing on renaming stations and work on getting an efficient, safe transportation system. The TTC has become a place of crime, drug use, and it basically operates right now as a de facto mobile homeless shelter. We see people smoking crack and acting with utter recidivism on the TTC. RapidTO is calling for a major police presence underground. We want to see big police patrols all across the TTC tunnels, on the platforms, walking the trains, so that Torontonians can feel safe again taking our subway system. Just moving on quickly to shelters and encampments. People like Gord Perks think a shelter is just an apartment, it's just a condo, it should be zoned residentially. Well, that's not true, and that's incredibly naive thinking. Why? Because number one, shelters are subsidized by taxpayers. That means we get a say in where they're located and how they're operated. Gord Perks also thinks that it's okay to include harm reduction, quote unquote, with shelters. Well, if you're going to start handing out needles and meth pipes at shelters that are going to be located in the vicinity of libraries, daycares, and schools, you better believe that the people are going to want to be consulted and have a say. But as we all saw back in July, Gord Perks shut down any and all dissent at that committee meeting when he went head-to-head against Roman Baber and several other people who were very concerned. Harm reduction and shelters are a bad mix. It's like oil and water, and we need to really confront this harm reduction dogma, which is causing a lot of problems in the streets. What is harm reduction doing to our streets? It's making kids step on needles. It's making people who are addicted to fent and crystal meth smoking it with impunity on our streets. And the City of Toronto Board of Public Health is enabling it. And what happens to people who smoke fent, do crystal meth, or inject? They start developing schizophrenic-like behaviors, okay? That is not safe for the person using, and that's not safe for any citizen in this city. We really need to rethink our approach to harm reduction. Quick message to Chris Moyse. Chris Moyse was in the news yesterday in social media because he still believes that it's appropriate to allow drug users and homeless people into city-run rinks. Well, city-run rinks have children's programming, so I say to Chris Moyse, absolutely not on our watch. A couple more things and then I'll get out of your way. Many of the issues that I've been discussing are creating what I'm considering a deterioration of the public realm. The public realm is really important. We pay our taxes. We're paying record-breaking taxes. We want a good-looking city. We want a clean city. We want a city that doesn't smell like human waste. We want a city that's not crumbling. We don't see that. So what people are also asking is, where is the money? Where are our taxes going? We have a city that is not looking great. People are desecrating the public realm, defiling it with drug use, going to the bathroom on city sidewalks. This is not sustainable. We're not going to stand for it. So that is really the bottom line here is, where's the money? Where are our city leaders? Why are they not talking about all these issues? And to Olivia Chow, you can't dance your way out of this problem. We want you to get back to work. We want a strong mayor, and the vast majority of people in this city don't feel like we have one. Finally, there's a new civic push online and in the streets to rename Sankofa Square to Terry Fox Square. We think that's a great idea. We think the Sankofa Square scandal was a very divisive chapter in our city. We got to correct it, and Terry Fox would certainly be a unifying figure, and in due time, we'll try to make that happen. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time, and I think we can take it for questions.